Well, good morning, everyone across the United States. Welcome to our second of our three Business of Dentistry dental webinars from Eide Bailly. My name is Art Wiederman. I've been a dental CPA for 38 years, and I am a dental division director at the CPA firm of Eide Bailly, and I'm located in Southern California. Our office is in Tustin. And we have a wonderful, wonderful webinar for you today. I think with what's going on in our economy and everything in the world, working on your practice these days is probably the most important thing that you can do. And I cannot think of a better person to help you with that than our speaker today, who is Tiffany Trader from the Dental A team. I will introduce her in a moment. But the first thing I want to do is I want to thank the 8 dental societies here in Southern California who have participated in our Business of Dentistry webinars for the past 2 years. I'd like to recognize the executive directors of those societies. That would be Greg Orloff of the Los Angeles Dental Society, Kurt Thornton from the San Fernando Valley Dental Society, Megan Francis from the Orange County Dental Society, Michelle Schneider from the West Los Angeles Dental Society, Kristen Avina from the Harbor Dental Society, Laura Peterson from the Tri-County Dental Society, and Linda Lakuzna from the Santa Barbara Dental Society, and Leah Dishian from the San Gabriel Valley Dental Society. Thank you all executive directors for everything that you do to help our doctors in these challenging times. I also want to let you know, folks, that we are going to have 2 more webinars this year. One of them is going to be our year-end tax planning, and we've got a little bit of a scheduling conflict that we have to work out. It will more than likely be the first week of December, and we will get information out to all of you on that. And on December 9th, we are going to be doing our 3rd of our transition webinars with Kathleen Johnson, who does specifically going into offices and helping doctors to determine the management part of buying a dental practice, and she'll be on with that. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is kind of tee up today. Tiffany Trader is located in Phoenix, Arizona. She is a dental coach with the Dental A team. We've had Kira Dent on this series previously. Kira is under the weather, has very little voice from what I understand. And she sent me a text yesterday that she was very, very disappointed that she couldn't join this morning. But the good news is that her partner in crime, Tiffany Trader, who is a coach with the Dental A team, is going to pinch it for her, and she is amazing. The topic today is Total Practice Makeover, the nitty-gritty. We're going to help you cover increasing the profitability of your dental practice. I mean, my big thing about profitability of dental practices today is that for many of you who contract with PPOs, imagine if you, instead of running a dental practice, that you ran a supermarket, and you had a situation where your costs are going up by 8 to 9% a year, the inflation rate, and you couldn't raise your prices to your customers, or in your case, your patients. That's where you are with PPOs. So raising your profitability in your dental practice, especially for those of you that are contracted with PPOs, is so critical. We're going to talk about hiring the right people and training the right people. We all know, Tiffany, that the number one challenge that everybody has in dentistry today and in business today is finding and retaining good people. So we're going to talk about that. And then case acceptance, which is huge. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I will monitor them throughout the webinar, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. So Tiffany, how are you doing, and how's life in Phoenix this morning?
Oh my gosh, life in, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. It didn't pop over to me. Okay, just making sure. Life in Phoenix is fantastic. It was freezing cold this morning. We already talked about that. My 46 degrees. I know Stacy thinks we're psycho with our weather, and my Reno crew was sending pictures of snow yesterday, and I was like, I'm crying for you. There's no way. I'm dying, but you know, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love where I live.
Now, for anybody who's listening to this in Minneapolis or Maine or upstate New York, Buffalo, please don't hang up the phone or get off the call. I mean, you gotta remember, you know, when it gets under 60 degrees in Arizona or California, we need therapy. So that's the way it goes. Well, Tiffany, I'm excited about what you have to present today, and it's really, really important information, and we want to help our doctors and give them some great tips to take away. So I'm going to be here. I might pop in occasionally if I have a comment or I want to discuss something, and I'll monitor the Q&A. So it's all yours. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for the great introduction. Thank you for having us. Dental A Team, honestly and truly, from the bottoms of all of our hearts, like, we just want to get information out there to people. So being on webinars like this is so valuable to us as a company, because we truly, like, literally just want to get so much information out to the masses. And this seems to, especially since 2020, right? This seems to be the easiest way for us to do that and really just reach so many dental professionals on so many different levels. So I'm so excited to be here today. Honestly and truly, Art is fantastic. He is an amazing human being. He's so sweet. We've chatted a few times, and I just feel at home with him. I think he's fantastic. And I'd really, as a company, like, gosh, we recommend them so many times, so many weeks, so many years we have worked with them, and we love them so much. So I'm just honored to be here today, and I'm excited to bring you some really great material. Dental A Team does everything with passion. We do everything for results. And today I'm going to bring you some things that are really going to get you some results. But before we get too far into that, I wanted to just tell you guys, for those of you who don't know who we are the Dental A Team. I am Tiffany Trader. I am so excited to be here. First and foremost, there's a QR code. We all love QR codes. I think that we all know how to use them these days. Thank you menus at all of the restaurants across the country. They are everywhere. Pop that QR code. Check out our podcast if you're not already listening to it. Gives you some insight into who we are, but really and truly, like I said, it gives you massive amounts of information. Kira Dent, she is our founder, our CEO. She is the host of our podcast, and she is an incredible human being. One of my best friends in life. You will love listening to her. A lot of people put her on like 2x speed. I don't know how they do that. She's a bundle of energy and she talks really fast. So I have to listen to her at regular speed, but you do you. So who are we? We are the Dental A Team. These are my beautiful consultant team members. We don't have our HQ team on here and our admin team that is behind the scenes, but they are incredible people. I can't imagine our lives continuing without them. There was a day that we didn't have all of these people behind us, and it was just me and Kira running the show, and we were running ourselves ragged. And now we have these beautiful, beautiful ladies and gentlemen who stand behind us and really help us promote this company. We've got Dana, we've got Brittany, these ladies, and myself and Kira. We actually consult dental practices across the country. We do it virtually. Dana does a ton of virtual. She is a pro with Zoom and coaching calls. And then we also do it in person. Britt, myself, and sometimes Kira. She doesn't fly quite as much, but Britt and myself, we are in practices across the country all the time. We custom tailor our coaching and our consulting to what dental practices need in the moment. So we're not a one size fits all, but we are let's see what's going to fit you guys, and let's take you from where you're at and level you up even more. So custom made hands-on training in your practice and virtually. We typically will see with practices that implement, with practices that are ready to freaking go to make the changes, who are ready to listen to the coaching and work with us in tandem, 10 to 30% increase in revenue within your first 30 to 60 days of working with us. Collectively, we have 68 years of dental experience, and we've all worked. This is huge for us. Kira and I started from the beginning that we both had front office and clinical experience, office manager, Kira's own dental practices, all of those pieces. We made it paramount in our company that any consultant that comes on board has done all of the pieces. That's how we are integrated into a team. We don't just know you, we are you. Okay, so that's who we are in a nutshell. I want to give you guys some real life examples. Okay, real life. I love that they put the plane on here for me for real life, because like this is real life. I literally hop on a plane tomorrow to go see some practices next week. So it was really cool when I was going through these slides. We had created them, and then the girls went in and they put some pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real life. So real life, these are cases. We wanted to give you some case study examples of winging it to bringing it. These are real life examples of practices that we have flown into. So this specific practice, near and dear to our hearts, we love them. Before, they were making about $350,000 annually. Okay, They had 4 operatories, 1 hygienist, paper charts, oh, kill me now. New patient flow average of about 15 per month, which isn't bad for 4 operatories, right? They didn't have an office manager and they didn't have anyone really who knew the billing. So the 350,000 annual revenue was coming in with all of that. Not bad, right? Well, insert their dental coach, and within that first year after, they made $1 million with 50% overhead in the COVID year, taking 2.5 months off. Okay, remember we were forced time off, which was kind of awesome, right? Dental got a forced vacation. They ramped up to 2 full-time hygienists because they had the space. Their new patient flow averaged 30 to 35 or more patients per month, which is huge. That's double from what they were doing, and it supports 2 hygienists and it supports a doctor. We really like to see, just so you know, 20 to 35 new patients per doctor, and I have actually seen up to 40 to 45 work really well. So they have 2 front office, they have 2 dental assistants looking to buy space next to the office to expand into 8 to 10 operatories, and they're only working 3.5 days, you guys. Adding a membership plan, sleep, and ortho help them to get there. This is a real life case study. Okay, these are the things that we've seen happen. This is 1 year. In 1 year, we went from 350 annual revenue to $1 million with a 50% overhead. I like to say the 50% overhead because, you guys, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If your overhead is insane, you're not actually making the money, right? So the number is pretty and you get to brag to your dental peeps, you get to put it up on social media, right? But if your overhead is really, really high, are you bringing home the money? What does that revenue actually look like? Okay. Second case study, I promised you 2. Okay, before our practice was generating 1.25 million, okay, with a 45% overhead. That's really dang good, right? Working 4 days a week, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. only, 3 hygienists, 6 operatories, 2 doctors, 3 front office. Okay, that's a pretty decent size team, right? Well, within a year, they were able to take that from 1.25 million to 2 million with a 35% overhead. Okay, that is pretty incredible. And I don't know if you know overhead or not, but 50% is usually our target. If you can get under 50%, holy cow. So they started under 50% and then went even lower. That's really cool. Didn't change their hours. So there's still all of the other pieces the same. 4 days, 6 to 3 p.m. daily, 3 hygienists, 6 ops, 2 doctors, 3 front office. That's a pretty big difference there, right? So those are just some case studies that I bring to you. I want you guys to see that the things that we're going to talk about today, that they actually work. These are things we're talking about today that we've implemented in practices just like these ones. These 2 practices are using the tips and the tools and the tricks that you're going to get from me today in their practice. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you right now, these aren't the only things that took them from where they were to where they are now, right? And where they've grown to and they're continuing to grow to. These aren't the only things, but these are in there. And I implore to you today, take something away today and implement it right away. Okay, it's Friday. So what happens on Friday? What happens on Friday is you go to a webinar, you're jazzed, you're like, this is incredible stuff. I'm going to take away all of it, right? And then you have birthday parties and house cleaning, right? Guys, you're out there doing I say guys, I love freaking lawn work, right? But you're out there mowing the lawn, you're planting plants, you're doing all the things this weekend, right? Your Sunday routines are going on, you've got barbecues, and then Monday comes and you're like, let's just go do the day-to-day. Let's do what we're used to, right? And we forget about what we learned on Friday. So please write notes, take something away today and give yourself an action plan. I will remind you at the end to do that as well, but I'm just saying it now. So how did they do it, you guys? What are some tips and tricks that we can take away today on how they did it? How did those case studies make that big difference? Here's the thing, okay? It is 2022, almost 2023, and none of us are, what is the word I want? None of us are in any different situation in the hiring than anyone else. Okay, we consult practices from across the country, literally coast to coast. I will be East Coast starting tomorrow for an entire week. We are coast to coast. And I'm telling you right now that the hiring situation is the same everywhere. There is nowhere that has the magic secret sauce that's like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than it was before. It just isn't happening, okay? Now, here's the deal. You've got to hire A-team players who are perfect culture fits, okay, with great onboarding. That's how they did it. They found A-team players who were perfect culture fits. So we're not hiring out of need and desperation. We're hiring for people who are culture fits to our practice. Okay. They're able to write a really great rock star, right, ad. You can see one here, and you'll get these. So you'll have, a little copy of this. You can copy it down. They write great ads that speak to the culture of their practice. It speaks to the person that they're trying to hire rather than speaking to just the position. If you want to hire a specific type of person, right? I always say, if you want to hire a Kira Dent with all the energy in the world and just ready to come at you, you better write an ad that attracts a Kira Dent, right? Or a Tiffany or a Joe down the street. Like whatever your ad is, that's who's going to be attracted to your business. Okay. And right now, we're the ones searching for hires, right? In this space of life, the people who are looking for jobs, they're the ones who get to be picky, right? We're kind of like, oh, we don't really get to be picky. They're out there going, you know what? I got the pick of the litter. Everybody's trying to hire. I can get whatever I want and go wherever I want. So you better be talking to the right people and attracting the people to your company, to your practice that you truly want to hire. Okay, onboarding. Onboarding is huge. Do you have onboarding documentations, right? Do you have documents that people can go through and know exactly what their expectations are? I can tell you right now that the most common reason for upsets in any situation, any group of people, any two people, any hiring situation, onboarding, anything is a mixed expectations or unmet expectations, right? Anytime you've ever been angry with someone, it's typically back to my expectations were not met, right? And if you're in conflict with someone, you've got two people in conflict, we've got two different sets of expectations typically that are going unmet. If you don't set them up for success, you're likely to lose a really good team member, okay? And in dentistry, I don't know why it is this way. We're trying to change that in the world, but in dentistry, it's kind of a fly by the seat of your pants, throw people in, see how they do, train on the fly situation. That's worked a little bit, right? But what we're seeing is that there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of dental experience that maybe don't know all of the pieces, especially when it comes to billing or treatment coordinating. They don't know actually how to do those things, even though they've got background in dentistry, because no one actually trained them to do it. So having your training set up ahead of time and having those expectations is going to be paramount. Okay. So first, hiring, they hired for culture. They hired those people, they onboarded them correctly. Number two, case acceptance, you guys. Case acceptance going from 50% to 100%, okay? With a little bit of magic we create for you, okay? And I'm gonna give it to you. You guys, this is magic. I am telling you right now, the amount of case acceptance increase that I have seen across the board over the last few years that we have been using this one simple tool is incredible. I can't tell you, it's so simple. It blows my mind constantly to see that it actually is doing what we hoped and dreamed that it would. One day, Kira said, we need something really easy for people to remember all of the pieces to make sure that the patients are done, like tied with a bow done when they leave. How are we going to do this? And brilliant brain of hers came up with this acronym, okay? And together we created it. We created with our team this, process, right? This system. So I'm hand delivering to you a system today that will help increase your case acceptance, hands down. You've got the right team member, okay? You've got the culture fit. Now you need to make sure that all of those team members are working together for your patients. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and I want to talk about something that's very important. And this is very important for you to talk about with your team. The reason that we're here and the reason that we track things, that we look for numbers, that we look to increase case acceptance is because we want to make sure that our patients are healthier when they leave than when they walked in our doors, right? We're healthcare professionals, okay? And at the bottom of it all, we all got into this field because we want to help people. And sometimes when we're looking at the numbers, it can be a little bit confusing, right? It can make us feel like stale, right? Or like hospital, right? Sterile. It makes us feel like, hang on, we're not looking at the right things. But here's the deal, guys. If you're not running a profitable business, if you're not increasing your case acceptance, you're not increasing your production and collecting the money that you should be collecting, how do we stay open so that we can help those people? How do we reach more of our community if we can't pay our team to be on staff? If our overhead is 75% and 45% of that is employee cost and our collections is low because nobody knows how to collect and we're actually short-staffed still, how are we going to help more people in our community in being healthy if we can't get all that together? So the numbers tell us the stories, the numbers tell us the trends, and the numbers tell us what we need to do better so that we can reach more of the community. That's what we're here for. This is going to help you, okay? We call it NDTR. It is the perfect handoff. And it starts in the back office and it goes all the way to checkout, okay? NDTR, I like to describe it as a gift. Okay, that's why it says tie the bow at the end, right? So I think of a treatment plan as being a present, a gift, a Christmas present, right? So, doctor, you've laid your patient back. You've had the chit chat with your patient. You've gotten this great handoff. Your team member has co-diagnosed with you because they're doing that, right? And you lay your patient back and you say all of this dental jargon and you're like, put it in the computer. You sit your patient up and you say, okay, Joe, here's the deal. We've got a handful of things we need to work on, okay? Susie over there, she's got it in the computer. She's gonna make sure it's all good to go. We need to start with X, okay? Where are you starting? What's that next visit going to be? What is the next priority treatment that your patient is coming back for? And why? Okay, we need to start with that broken tooth on the upper right. We really need to get that taken care of before it gets any worse. Okay, go through your spiel. Okay, that's your next visit. Okay, so next visit, so NDTR. Okay, NDTR, that's all you got to remember. Next visit, and then date. Here's the deal, doctors. Here's the deal. Do not say, Joe, we're gonna get you back for that upper right treatment. We've got to fix that broken tooth and I need to see you back next Wednesday. Okay, date does not mean a specific date. It means a reference of time. Okay, if you're not giving a reference of time, you're allowing your patient to decide how long they have before that treatment needs to happen. My theory is, as a dental coach, consultant, my theory is if it's diagnosable, it probably needs to be done. And we don't have a crystal ball, right? I mean, if you do, if one of you out there has a crystal ball, please tell me because I need it. I need to know how you're doing this, okay? We don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how long it's gonna take before that tooth gets worse. You don't know. You can make judgments and assessments based on what you're seeing, right? You can, absolutely, but you cannot pinpoint a date that's going to break more, that decay is going to get deeper, right? Or not get deeper. If it's diagnosable, it needs to be done, okay? Specific dates are going to kill your team members. They're going to hate you for that, okay? Don't do it. It's not worth it. So don't say next Wednesday. I typically have my doctors say something like, okay, Joe, we're going to get you in for that broken tooth on the upper right. We really need to get that taken care of before it gets any worse, turns into a root canal. Right now, I think I can do just a crown on it. Let's get you back in. I'd love to see you back in my chair within the next 2 weeks, if your schedule and my schedule will allow for that. Okay, so I've opened it up. Now, before I go too much further, there are a couple things I want to hit. You can tell we've trained on this before, right? Because I get all the things. I get all the questions. I get all the pushback, okay? And the number one thing team members say to me, and I'm going to give you this tool because when you go back on Monday and you tell your team, we're doing NDTR, this is going to come up. The number one thing that I get from team members is, okay, so you said within the next 2 weeks, but we're booked out 4 weeks from my doctor. I don't have anything to give them in the next 2 weeks. Number one, fantastic, great job. Great job. Number two, put them in your next slot. Okay, put them in that slot in 4 weeks. And you know what you just built? An awesome ASAP list. So don't shy away from saying, I'd love to see you back in my chair within the next 2 weeks. If your schedule and my schedule will allow for that, don't shy away from that just because your schedule is booking out. What will happen is we put them, right, 4 weeks out. If that's your next available, we put them 4 weeks out. And then we say, Joe, I'm going to stick you in my next slot because I want to make sure you get this taken care of. And what I'm going to do is if I can change and adjust the schedule in any way to get you in sooner, you're going to be one of the first people that I call to take that slot. Okay. The urgency is key. The N and the D in NDTR place that urgency within your patient's mind. Okay. So you've told your patient the treatment that they need. Where are they starting? That upper right broken tooth. Okay. Within the next 2 weeks. Okay. Time. I'm going to break it down again. Okay. We're going to do this very slow and then we're going to do it really fast. Time. Time does not mean next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Time does not mean, Joe, what time of day usually works for you? That's not for you to figure out. Time means how long can your patient expect to be in the chair? This allows your patient an opportunity right off the bat with you right there in the chair to start thinking, okay, when do I have that hour and a half in my schedule that I can get back in here? They're already going through scheduling hurdles, starting chairside with you during diagnosis before they ever get to your treatment coordinator. So now your treatment coordinator, right, she's got or he's got less hurdles to jump through with your patient because your patient already has a great idea of when their schedule allows for that length of time. Okay, couple of different scenarios, right? There's always two ends to every spectrum. So these are things that I've actually witnessed, okay, as a treatment coordinator in practice. These are things that I've actually witnessed, and I think all of us can attest to these, at least one of them, right? One of them happens all the time. The other one is a rare occasion, and she blew my mind. As a treatment coordinator, okay, I had, I'm going to give you the crazy one first, and then we'll do the one that we always see. So as a treatment coordinator, I remember I had a treatment plan. It was super simple, okay? 4 or 5, I don't remember, 4 or 5 occlusal fillings. 4 or 5 occlusal fillings, okay? Now my doctor had been in practice at that time. He graduated 2003. So I would say at the time of that treatment plan, he's probably 7, 8 years into dentistry, okay, into doing dentistry. So you can imagine 4 or 5 fillings for an owner doctor, 7, 8 years into practice. Maybe an hour, okay? My guy is like 40 to 60 minutes max for that many fillings, right? He was on it. So I'm doing the treatment plan and I'm like, okay, we've got these 4 or 5 occlusal fillings. It's going to be whatever it was, $60, right? Super inexpensive. Let's get you booked for that. And she sits back and she says, oh my gosh, okay, 4 or 5, I'm probably going to have to take the whole day off for that, right? It blew my mind, but this is the thing, guys. They don't know, right? They have no idea what we do. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know how long it takes. They don't know what they're supposed to do. We have to tell them. So I was like, oh, honey, absolutely not. You could probably take a lunch break and get this done. And her face, she was like, oh, thank God, because I don't have a day to take off for fillings. And I said, oh, if it took all day, right? Please help us now, okay? Other end of the spectrum on the time, right? We've all had these appointments. And as a dental assistant, I feel like I had it all the time. And I really, really learned to start giving expectations to my patients because I got really tired of my patients being upset with me when their appointments took longer than they thought it was going to be. Always a root canal, right? Always the root canal patients. They're always the crowns that the mill's broken, it's going too long, but always those root canal patients, right? There's so many breaks in between. We've got to take the PAs. We've got to make sure the gutta perch is in there at the right spot. We've got to fix it up, right? He's got exams he's doing. So I'm like buffering time. Always the root canal patients. I thought we were going to be done honestly, 30 minutes ago. So how much longer do we have? Because I have an appointment in 45 minutes. Lady, right? You're in the dental chair. we have to tell them the expectations that they can develop their schedule. They can work their schedule around what we need. Okay. If you prioritize it, they will prioritize it. That's time. Recare. And also, like, guys, if you've not experienced this, please tell me. If you've not experienced either one of those spectrums, I want to hear about it. I want to know what you're doing. And maybe you're already doing this. Fantastic. Tell me. I want to hear about it. Okay. Get those questions in, by the way. Okay. If I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow, if you got things you want to say to me, get them in there. I've got team here. We've got Art's going to pop in. If you guys have questions, pop it in the Q&A, pop it in the chat, wherever. Okay. The R, the recare. This is just a reminder, okay? I want you guys to remind your patients, even if it's already scheduled, I want you guys to say it because I want you to build the importance and the value of their professional cleaning with their hygienist. The hopes, the dreams, the aspirations is that if we talk about it enough and we prioritize it enough, your patients prioritize it, and eventually down the road, right, we have less cancellations and reschedules, okay? So NDTR, you've got your present. You said, Joe, this is the treatment that you need. This is what we're doing, okay? And then we tie the bow on top of it and we say, Joe, we've got to get you back for that upper right treatment. That tooth is broken and I do not want it to get any worse. We've got to get you back in here. I would love to see you in my chair within the next 2 weeks if your schedule and my schedule allows for it. For that appointment, I'd say probably allocate about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just to be on the safe side for being here in my chair. And I know Susie's fantastic. She's probably already got you scheduled for your next professional cleaning with her, but let's just double check and let's make sure your family's coming in too. Joe, I love seeing you, man. Can't wait to see you back in the next couple of weeks. Susie's gonna take over from here, but if you have any other questions for me, I'm just down the hall. She can come snag me. Can't wait to see you back. Bo, okay? Couple things that this does. This hands off the information for your patients. It gives your team the information that they need to hand off to the next person. Okay, it gets your patients scheduled and it shows the value and importance of what needs to happen. Okay, a couple of ways that you can remember NDTR. Number one, put it on your route slips. Okay, force your team to write it out on the route slips, not from their memory, not from what they know, but from what you say. And if you don't say it, they should be asking for it. If it's on the route slip that has to be filled out, they need to ask you in front of the patient. They need to say, oh, hey, doc, how long do you think that will take you? And then you'll go, oh, yeah, that's right. Let me go through my spiel, right? Oh, hey, doc, when did you want to see Joe back for that crown? Oh, yeah, let me go through my spiel, okay? You're not going to remember because you're actually thinking about that root canal in Op 5. You're also thinking about the crown prep that's coming in or the crown seat that's coming in. And you're like, did we even get the crown back? Do we know, did we mill the crown? Is it ready, right? Do my dental assistants have it out while you're doing an exam? Your brain's all over the place. Your team, they're right here. So have them fill it out on the route slip down at the bottom, NDTR, okay? And if you don't give it to them, they need to ask for it. Then they hand it off to the next person. Okay, your hygienist, your dental assistant takes it to your treatment coordinator and says, all right, Joanna, I've got Joe here. And they say the same thing. Okay, repetition is key. Right, statistics people, they say that it takes up to 7 times for a patient hearing the same thing over and over again before they're ready to purchase. Now, I'm not telling you, you need a crown, you need a crown, you need a crown. Don't say that 7 times. You're talking to them or around them about the problem anywhere between 5 to 7 times. NDTR will help you with that. It will increase your case acceptance, okay? So NDTR. I have practices that love acronyms as much as we do, and they create things to remember it. I am going to share with you 2 of my favorites. One of them makes me laugh so much. I'll share the less funny one first, okay? Because I want to end on a really funny note for NDTR. So NDTR, okay? Never date the rookie, because we always go for the pro, okay? That was practice in Chicago. So Chicago Cubs, right? If you're anywhere near Chicago, I feel like baseball is everything out there, right? So never date the rookie because you always go for the pro. So NDTR, okay? And then I have another practice, okay? They remember it as neuter. Swear to you, swear to you. And I say it all the time, so I think I practice this across the country now, saying don't forget to neuter your patients. So don't forget to neuter your patients, all right? Last piece of this that I'm going to go over on the NDTR handoffs is to make sure that you're relationship gifting, that you're passing off some information, that your team is passing information off to the next person, and that they're edifying one another. I like to think of and edify, you guys, just so you know, it's to build up someone else. So build the next person up. I like to think of it as, what can this person who's going to be handling my patient do for my patient that I can't? So Joanna's fantastic. Numbers are her thing. She's actually already got your treatment plan ready to go. She is a whiz with the schedule, so she's going to help you with those two things. I'm going to be just down the hall. If you have any questions for me at all, Joe, she can come snag me. Otherwise, we can't wait to see you back within the next couple of weeks. So, and I'm out. It gives you an easy out. It gives you an easy escape from your rooms. It wraps up your exam so it doesn't feel awkward. Okay, I have a lot of doctors that just struggle disconnecting from the person, right? And they don't always have team members who are willing or able to get in there and be like, okay, doc, you're good to go, and really get you out. So exams just get so long, right? NDTR will shorten your exams and it gives you an easy out. Just tie that bow and get the heck out of there and get your case acceptance increased. Okay. Number 3, you guys. Number 3, operations manual creation and utilization. Now, why is this important? We already talked, number 1, right? We talked about hiring for culture, hiring the right person and figuring that out, and then getting them onboarded. You can't successfully onboard someone, right? Like, I mean, you can, I guess you can. I'm not going to say you can't. You can do anything you want to. You can do anything you put your mind to. Okay. So I'm not going to say you can't, but it's much easier and much more likely to happen if you've got job descriptions at least. Okay, your operations manual is huge. We find this incredibly important in our company. The number one reason that practices sign up with us, that doctors come to us, the number one thing that we get by email. So hello at thedental-ateam.com. You can email us in. The number one thing that we get are systems. Okay, systems requests. Help us with systems. We need to be more systematized. We need systems. And I like to say, you have systems. You just don't realize it. You're not writing them down. You haven't created your operations manual yet, so you can't see that you have systems. Now, you might need new systems, or they might need to be tweaked or updated. I can surely come in and see that bird's eye view and see what's missing, right? How can we make things more efficient? How can we make them a little bit better? Surely we are fantastic at that, and we are fantastic at increasing profitability, but you have systems. You just got to write them down. Your operations manual is the place to do that. Hiring for culture, okay? Getting that repetition down and getting a case acceptance up, and making sure that everyone in your practice knows their part that they play in that case acceptance and that patient experience. That's where your job descriptions come in. Okay, your job descriptions for each position, accountability agreements for each position. That's huge, guys. That's your team member saying, you know what, this is my job and I want to do it really well, and I want you to hold me accountable for it. These are the things that I'm saying yes to. I'm going to do this. Okay, daily workflow protocol. What do you expect from them daily? If expectations are not set, you cannot hold people accountable easily, right? I get that. Systems and accountability. I need systems, and I need to be able to hold my team accountable to them. Well, if you tell them what the system is and what the expected outcome is, what do you expect from them? Then it's easy to say, hey, what happened here? We didn't really meet that expectation. Was it not clear enough? What can we do better, or what can we do next time to better meet that expectation? Now you can hold them accountable because you have an agreement and you have daily workflow protocols. They know what they're supposed to do every day. End of day checklist. That's accountability in a nutshell, you guys. You don't even have to ask for it. If they've got an end of day sheet, they just turn it in, right? I like to think of accountability as going up, right? I turn it into someone else. It goes up, up, up the ladder through my leaders, rather than my leaders having to look down and say, did you do? That's how you reverse micromanaging. If you can have something that people flow up, you don't have to look down, right? So now the micromanaging is reduced. How to protocols. If you've got a daily workflow protocol and you've got things they're supposed to be doing, do they know how to do it? Have they been shown? Okay, for each procedure and task in the office, this is front office and back office. And you guys, if you don't have an operations manual right now, that's okay. Number one, we can help you. That's no big deal. Okay, don't stress. There's a lot of practices that don't. If you have one and it hasn't been updated, don't stress. It's okay. Those how-to protocols, utilize your team. Utilize the people who are already doing the procedures, okay? Utilize the people that you're onboarding, right? As I'm explaining how to do something, I want you writing it down. Help me create those how-tos if they're not there yet, okay? 30, 60, 90-day training protocols for onboarding. You already saw that at the beginning. I really like them to be broken down 30, 60, 90, and sometimes I'll even help offices take them into weeks. I know I have an oral surgery practice that I've been working with for a little while, and they just hired an office manager, and we took her 30-day and we broke it into her 30 and her 60-day actually, and we broke it into each week and who she would be training with. So which team member within the practice she would be training with, what the expected outcome was, and then what it would roll into the next time. And we took everything that we created, and this is, I've done this for multiple practices, and your 30, 60, 90-day training plans that come with our operations manual are this way as well. They should flow into the next piece to make it really easy. So again, don't stress if you don't have an operations manual. That's okay. Not everyone does, okay? But this is how you get those systems into place. This is how you ensure you've got that onboarding. Okay, Art?
Hey, Tiffany, by the way, awesome information. I can't write fast enough. But so let me ask you a question. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I have a lot of doctors, they don't have any of this stuff. They don't have job descriptions, they don't have accountability agreements. They come in, you give them a handpiece, you give them their paycheck, and you give them lunch, and they're really happy, right?
Yeah.
And so to give some of our doctors who are listening to all these great things, if you have a team that we've never really made them accountable, we've never really done any of this, is there a first step that when you go to the team and say, hey guys, you don't walk in Monday morning, oh, I went to this webinar, now you're all going to be accountable and this is what we're going to do? Doesn't work that way, right? How do you kind of introduce this into a practice? Because you come into practices, Tiffany, not because they're making 50% net profit and everything is wonderful. You come in, they're not doing well, and they want help. So how do you kind of introduce this to the team?
Yeah, I love that question. That's brilliant. And I think you brought up a very good point that I want the doctors to take away. Listen to this answer, because if you do go in on Monday and you're like, slam down an operations manual, this is what we're doing, you might not get the result that you're looking for. So I think, Art, that's a brilliant question. The number one way that I have found in my consulting to introduce something like this, or to introduce really that accountability piece that people aren't used to, is to take it and spin it in what's going to help them. Because ultimately the accountability, the job descriptions, all these pieces, it's going to help you as a business owner, and it's going to help your profitability because the systems are in place. But they might be like, whoa, sir, like, why are you coming at me right now? Why are you telling me, am I doing something wrong? Am I not good enough? Am I not doing well enough? But that's not the case. What we want to do is we want to make what they're doing easier. I want to take the thinking out of what they're doing. What happens is that our brains are full of more today than they ever have been. We are inundated with information at every corner. Our phones are going off constantly. We're seeing emails, we're seeing notifications, we're scrolling social media for no good reason, and our brains are retaining all of this information. Plus, we have all of the information we're trying to deal with at work. So our brains are crazy psychotic all the time. If we can take some of the thinking out of what you're doing really well, right? And write it down, make it a system that's just an easy check off, easy to do. You don't have to actually think about it. You're going to be less stressed. If I can take some of the thinking out of what you're doing, I can then reduce your stress. You will become more efficient. You'll have to do less, and you'll become more profitable. The less stress that we have, the more we want to go to work. Right? So if our team members are excited to be there, our patients are.
You know, Tiffany, and that's a great answer. The other thing that I've learned through the process of our clients over all these years, bringing in a wonderful coach like yourself, is you find out which of your team members are invested in your practice and which of your team members are just filling seats. Because the ones that are invested in your practice, they're going to say, oh my God, doctor, I've been waiting for you to do this for 15 years. I can't tell you how excited I am. Let's go. And how can I help? And then you're going to have the other team member, maybe the dentalist says, well, wait a minute. I don't know. Why do we need to do this? Everything is okay, right? And that then really separates the A players from the C players, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. I think that's another brilliant point that you've made. And I usually can pinpoint it. I can usually pinpoint it within a couple minutes of being at a practice, right? But definitely in those team meetings. And I think to your point, Art, like they're already there. You're already hopefully having those team meetings, right? You're already meeting with people and you're seeing it too, doctors, and you're just kind of hoping that you're wrong, right? Or hoping that it will get better, or thinking, well, this is just the way that it is. So I do agree. I think when you bring in the systemization and the accountability pieces, it really shows you who's here to help grow the practice and really help your patients, and who's just here to like clock in, clock out with that little ticket.
Well, we hold these webinars, Tiffany, on Friday because that is my brilliant day. Other days of the week, not so brilliant, but that's what I do. So I'll let you get back to this because you and I could sit here and talk for another hour and a half. So
I know. I love it. I love that you save all your brilliance for the end of the week, and for, thankfully, because we're here at the end of the week. Yes. So operations manuals. Okay. And again, if you guys don't have one, just start somewhere. Okay. Job descriptions are the easiest place to start. Dental A team, right? We are here to help you guys. And honestly and truly, this is something we've been doing for many, many years for practices. We have an awesome template. All of our clients that sign up for our customized consulting, they get a copy of it and we work through it with them. But honestly, it's a piece of the puzzle that you could get on your own with us as well. So I'll talk more about that later, but I just want you to make sure that you're seeing the ease that could be put into this and not seeing the, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. Operations manuals are overwhelming. They don't have to be. Accountability doesn't have to be overwhelming. If you set the right expectations, you set the right tone, the accountability kind of takes care of itself. So on that, I want to talk about a couple of things that come with systems, and really utilizing the accountability piece of systems, because I think that that's what's lost in translation for a lot of practices, is that there's not enough accountability attached, or not any accountability attached to systems. So then we're left wondering, did it get done, right? Or where's that patient's case at? What's going on with Mary Jo's implant, right? We're left wondering, we're left with all of these questions that are lingering, that you then have to like look down on and ask, right? And as a leader, right, that can be, and sometimes intimidating, right? Especially if you've got a strong personality in your practice, and she's like, well, what do you mean? Of course I'm doing my job, right? That was me for a long time, right? My early 20s, I was like, why are you questioning everything I'm doing? Well, he was questioning everything I was doing because he didn't know if I was doing it or not, right? So we grow, we mature, we learn, right? But me in my early 20s, I'm like, I was like, just like these kids we're hiring now, right? Many years later, 20 years later, right? Like that's where we're at, right? That's who we're hiring. And we have to set it up from the get-go and make sure that they understand why that accountability piece is so important. Set it up so that you don't have to be that bad guy. You don't have to look down and say, did you do your job, right? They're saying, hey, look, doc, I did my job. Okay, so simple systems, the end of the day checklist, you guys, that's a system, right? So maybe Mary Lou up front, maybe she has to answer the phones. She's got to do 10 recare calls a day. She's verifying insurance and checking patients in with their paperwork. Okay, what are the things that Mary Lou up front is absolutely doing every single day that you want to know she's doing every single day? Put it on an end of day checklist, and she literally checks it, and then she signs it and she dates it and she says, guess what? I accomplished all my tasks today. Okay, and then when your recare schedule sucks, and you're like, where are all the patients? Mary Lou's been making 10 calls a day for 6 months. Where are all the patients? And then we look and we're like, Mary Lou, you said you're making calls and you didn't make calls. Now it's easy to hold her accountable. And we're like, Mary Lou, bro, like, what is going on? I thought this whole, like you said, you're making calls, but I don't see them logged. I don't see the patients. Like, what's happening? Now it's easy to say, how can I help you do better in your position? How can I help support you? What information can I get you? Training, what can I do to make this better for you? Now it's not like a, oh shoot, Mary Lou, did you know you were supposed to be making 10 calls a day? Like, did anyone tell you that? Has anyone followed up with Mary Lou to make sure she's doing calls? Like, the follow-up is there every day so that you know if she's doing it or not. You spot check them, you make sure that they're there, that it's working. I don't know how many times as a dental assistant, doctor, if you're watching, I'm sorry, you know it was me. I don't know how many times as a dental assistant I left the pumps on, and the next morning I was like, shoot, like those things run off of hours, right? And when we had to replace those things, I was like, oh, I feel a lot of responsibility here, right? So I put a checklist in the break room. I put a big old sign on the back door so that I wouldn't forget anymore. I was doing end of day checklists when we didn't have them. I created the operations manual in my practice because we didn't have it and we needed it. It was clear and apparent that we needed these systems written down and we needed to know how to do them. I'm going to pop this. Let's look. Is there anything? CDA has job. Katie, thank you. You're right. CDA has job descriptions, employee manual, onboarding resources, hiring updates. Yes, for sure. Yep, all of it. So definitely utilize the pieces that you guys have. Just get it done. Okay, you're going to onboard your rock star employees because you're going to hire for culture. You're going to get those culture fits in there. You're going to do rock star exams and you're going to increase your case acceptance with what? With NDTR, right? Next visit, date, time, recare. Urgency, okay? Your next visit and why do they need it? Don't forget that piece, guys. Don't just like hammer in on the crown. Talk about the problem. We need to fix that broken tooth. We need to get rid of that decay. We need to stop you from grinding your teeth down to nubs, okay? What is the problem that they're dealing with? And treat the problem, okay? Talk the problem, not just the solution. Date, we'd love to see you back within the next 2 weeks. If your schedule and my schedule will allow for it. Time, not a specific time. It's gonna take about an hour and a half for that appointment. If you'll schedule that in your schedule, we'll schedule it in ours. And recare. We need to make sure you're scheduled for your next professional cleaning and get that taken care of. Okay. Operations manual, job descriptions. You guys, here's an easy place to start. If you think about the positions that you have in your office, so think about the people, right? And what position do they hold? Here's the deal. Write down all of those positions in your practice. You have a dental assistant for sure. You have a hygienist for sure. Okay, if you're an oral surgery practice with us or a perio practice, like you probably have a surgical assistant, right? Perio, you still have a hygienist. Okay, oral surgery, you don't have hygiene, that's fine. Write down those positions that you have, a lab tech, a sterilization tech, maybe. You have your office manager, okay? Most practices will have a front office of some sort, right? We really like to see treatment coordinator, scheduling coordinator. You might have a check-in, check-out, but a billing representative for sure, okay? So write down all of the positions that you have in your practice and start there. Just start there. Your job descriptions, okay, your accountability agreements, your daily, all of this is going to be built out for the position, not the person. Hear what I said there. The position, not the person. You are not building this job description based off of Mary Lou, who's already working for you. You're building that job description and your daily workflow protocol based off of what you want that position to look like. And maybe Mary Lou is fantastic and she's doing it all. Fine, totally fine. Build it off of what she's doing, but just don't, I want you to make sure that you're not envisioning the person, you're envisioning your end result. What do you want that position to look like? What do you want them to accomplish? And then build it from there. If you build it off of the person, you might miss some pieces of the puzzle in there. When you go to your team and you're like, hey guys, I have this incredible idea. I want to take all of the things that we're doing really, really well, and I want to write them down because I want to make sure that no matter what, we're basing our practice off of systems and not just the people. I know you guys have it in your head. I know you guys know what you're doing, but I want to write it down. Let's take some of the stress out of what we're doing every day. Let's take some of the thinking out of the things that we're doing, and let's write them down so that they're always there. And then we can update them yearly, but we'll have a really great manual to work off of if it's ever needed. My dental assistants team, I really like to remind them that sometimes we have dental assistants out or hygienists out, and then we have a temp. Has anyone ever worked with a temp dental assistant? Because I have. And as a dental assistant, I'm going to tell you right now, as a front office with dental assistant experience, most of the time I was like, you know what? My girls up here, they've got it. I'm just going to go assist, because it's easier if we don't have a good manual, pictures for that person to look at, to know how to set it up. We don't have things labeled to know where they are. It is usually easier to work short-staffed than it is to have a dental assistant temp, because it's chaos. It is pure chaos. If you've got this done, this manual, then guess what? Your dental assistant can take vacation. She can take vacation, and we can have a temp assistant in, because I can give them these pictures and instructions of how you operate, doctor. And then they can pull it out and they can build your tray setups based off of a picture. And we can utilize other people and give our team the break that they need when they need it. So it's just so detrimental to have all of this written down. Practices come to us constantly, like I said, for systems. They say, I want to be a systems dependent practice. I don't want to be a people dependent practice. And in this day and age, you guys, right now, with the way hiring is, right, it is imperative that we run as systems dependent practices and not people dependent, because the turnover that I've seen, I don't come across very often the old mentality of the longer your tenure at a place, the better. Okay. The newer mentality is, why would you stay somewhere so long when you could go somewhere else and do something different? When you could go somewhere else and find something different, when you might be able to make more money somewhere else, why would you stay? The mentality is not stay this long, 15, 20 years. I was at my practice for 12 years, and I helped grow this practice from 3 operatories to 7 with 3 doctors and like all of these things, right? And I felt so empowered as a dental professional. And when I met Kira, I was like, you know what? I can do consulting because I've done it in my own practice. I've done all of these things, 12 years. And people are like blown away by that now, because we're not seeing it. And if I didn't leave my practice with the systems that I left them with, the operations manual, all of those pieces, if I did not leave them with that, they would have been Tiffany dependent. Okay. And they were already highly Tiffany dependent, right? But I had to make sure that I left them with the things, the tools, so that they could be successful. And they were, and they are, and they're fine. And you know what? Like, warmed my heart and broke my heart at the same time, that they didn't need me after I left, right? I wanted them to, and my doctor was incredible, still is. He'll text me every now and again, right? Just to make me feel like he needs me. He would text me in the beginning like, hey, where's XYZ? I'm like, I know you know where this is, right? You're just trying to, which I appreciated because I needed it. So it warmed my heart and it broke my heart at the same time. These are the pieces that we need in your practice. These are the pieces, because your team members may not always be there, but the systems will. So get them written down, get them implemented, and get that accountability really working for you. If you need help implementing it, if you need verbiage, if you need words, you need ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out. I told you we've got hello@thedentalateam.com. We have incredible team members, Kylie and Shelby, who are on that email constantly. And what they do, there was one this morning actually, what they do is they screenshot the message. If they don't have the answer, they don't have the podcast they can reference to, they'll screenshot it and they send it to the consultant team so that we can answer it, and then they respond. So you will always get a live person. And if you reach out, you will more than likely get an answer and a response from one of the consultants. I actually think Kira is even on that email sometimes. Like, I see things come through there and I'm like, Kira, goodness gracious, you're always doing something incredible. So make sure that you've got this operations manual going. This is snippet. This is what we do. This is how we do ours. This is the dental assistant protocol. So this is that job flow protocol that I spoke about. This is what are the expectations of your dental assistant. So morning arrival, what they do when their patients arrive, okay? Greet patients within 5 minutes of patient indicator turning color. Okay, if it's your patient indicator is on time, they're scheduled at 8 and they come at 8, you better be out there right away, right? But if your patient comes at 7:50, try to be there by 7:55 if it's possible, okay? And then you've got your end of day, like what are they supposed to do? All the chart notes are completed for patient scene, morning huddle prep form is ready, all rooms are set for the next procedures. I really like to make sure too, casts are pulled if we're still doing those, models are poured, right? These are templates. These are things that we take into practices and we update with the practice, okay? These are all things, monthly replace traps, spores testing, clean sterilizer. There's a lot of practices, and I'll tell you right now, there were times where I was like, did we do that? Like, where's the tracker for this? There are a lot of practices that are missing things like replacing traps, spores testing, and cleaning the sterilizers because it's not written down anywhere. And it's not assigned to someone. If you've got something that your practice is doing, it's got to be assigned to someone for that accountability piece. If you just say, oh, front office does that, it's a front office thing, right? Front office makes calls. I have a lot of practices that say that. Well, the front office makes the calls. Well, that's fantastic, but like who's responsible for making sure that the calls are happening? So if Tiffany is responsible for our hygiene schedule, and my responsibility is to make sure that we are 95% full at all times for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be on the phone making calls all the time, and I'm going to have a calls protocol. So I better be making at least 10 calls a day to make sure that our schedule is full and that it stays full. Okay, if we're not making calls all the time, this is like a side tangent. I have practices often that will say, well, our recare is already full. Our hygienists are full. I have nowhere to put patients. Why would I call? Well, you schedule your patients further out where your next available appointment is, and then you call them in sooner when you can. But if we're not making calls, eventually our recare is going to slip and our hygienists are not going to be full. We've got to get those touch points out there. Most of the time your patients aren't answering. You're sending text messages or you're leaving voicemails. Okay, get the calls out there. So if I'm responsible for making those calls, now you can say, hey, how are calls going? Did we get those calls out? If it's front office, now you're saying, hey guys, how are the calls going? And I'm like, I don't know, did maybe Mary Lou, Susie, did you do calls? Like, I don't know, I guess we'll get to it when we have time. That's gonna be, majority of the time, that's gonna be the answer that I get when I go into offices. I don't know, maybe she has time, but I don't have time. Well, I don't have time because it's not my job, so I haven't worked it into my duties yet. If it's my job and I truly don't have time today to get to them, but I see that someone else might have time, I can ask someone to help. But if we don't have a protocol where it says this is your job, those traps, those spores testing, the sterilizer, those things might get missed. The turning off the pumps every night, sometimes those might get missed, you guys. That's not a lie. That really happened. I did that, okay? And I feel guilty about it to this day, clearly. So we talked about number one, hiring for culture. Okay, hiring for culture is key. We can look back again at that ad if we need to, and I'll talk more. I can talk more about writing the right ad. Number two, getting your case acceptance up. Those practices, those case studies that you saw in the beginning, we can go back to those too. Those case studies that you saw in the beginning, going from 1.25 million to 2 million in a year, right? From 350 to $1 million in a year. Those case studies, they hired the right people, they hired for culture. Okay, they got their case acceptance up from 50% to some of them are 100%. You guys, that's huge. That's huge if you can get to 100%, right? Typically, I'm seeing anywhere between 65 to 85%, depending on how you're tracking your case acceptance, which you should be tracking. We can side tangent that later. Operations manual. You guys, this is huge. Onboarding a team member is so much easier if you've got an operations manual. So if you're hiring for culture and onboarding correctly, that operations manual is going to get you there. Okay, I cannot talk about operations manuals enough because those are the systems, and you have systems. Remember that you have systems, they're just not written down. Okay, number four, these are your daily disciplines. 100% they were committed to themselves. They were committed to reaching their goals. One thing that I think we do really well in the dental aid team, something that I haven't seen across the board very much, is that we focus in on you as a human being as well, as a person, as a family man, family woman, a mom, a dad, like an uncle, an aunt, whatever it is, right? We focus in on your personal life as well as your business. Because if we're only focusing in on your business, I might work you to the bone. If your priority is to only work 3 days a week, and I'm like, well, if we want to boost production, we want to produce more money, you're going to need to work 4 days a week. But I didn't know you only wanted to work 3 days a week. I might push you to work 4 and you're unhappy, right? I don't want you to be unhappy. I want you to find your happiness, because that's going to be really key. We call them our quads of success, our daily focus. I told you we really like acronyms, okay? So our quads of success are PSTY. We like to remember it by PS, thank you. Okay, so we've got our profitability, our money, our systems from top to bottom, literally top to bottom. What are the systems in your practice from top to bottom? Our team development, and then you, relationships, personal and external. So it could be your marriage, it could be your dating life, but it could also be your friends, your family, your external. Your mind and your meaning. What are you doing to expand your mind? Are you going to training? Are you learning? Are you doing personal development? Are you doing things like Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins is massive, right? And then fitness. Are you moving? Okay, you don't have to have a gym membership. You don't have to be running 5 miles a week or a day or whatever. I don't care. I just want to make sure you're moving. That constant and continual improvement is what's going to progress you as a leader and going to make you an even better business owner, I promise you. So if we're looking at the profitability, we're looking at your overhead, we're looking at your money, okay? And we really like profit first model, and really looking at your overhead with, Bailey sends some incredible reports, you guys. I love the reports, and really being able to look at them and see, where are you at? Where are you overextending yourself? Where are you fantastic? What can we do differently to make sure that your profitability is rock star? Systems top to bottom, again, guys, this is your operations manual and making sure that they're in place and that they're being used. Team development, is your team getting training? Are they developing themselves as people as well? And then you can't forget about you, relationships, mind, meaning, and fitness. This is our little, and I want you guys to look at this and maybe take a second and really just answer these questions. This is our quadrants of success scorecard, okay? And this is how we figure out where your weakest and strongest quadrants are. We like to be able to do this because it gives us a really great starting point. It really tells us areas of your business or your life that we can focus in on to really help you progress from where you are to where you want to go. Okay, so if you've got a goal, maybe you want to increase case acceptance, right? Or maybe you want to increase production. Okay, and I could say, okay, great, let's get on the phone with unscheduled treatment plans. And you're like, well, I want to increase production. I'm not producing what I want to, but my case acceptance is actually at 85% or 90%. I'm like, well, that's pretty dang good. So we're not missing a lot of treatment plans. I've got to dive deeper and figure out what the root cause of not meeting those production goals actually is. Because if I just, shotgun spray and try to fix something big, right, or change systems that might be working, I might not hit the target of what's actually the problem. So this scorecard helps us figure out what's the area that really is the problem right now. What can we target in on? What can we hit that will make the biggest movement the quickest to get some momentum going? So this is that scorecard. I gave you a couple minutes, but I was also talking, so it might be hard, but take a minute and you'll get this by email as well. Take a minute to really figure out where it is. Where do you need to start focusing in on to really progress where you're going?
Hey, Tiffany, we'll let everybody take a look at this scorecard. And I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you're going to cover this in the webinar. Are you starting to work with doctors about changing their relationship with PPOs?
So I don't have this won't be covered necessarily in here, but I'm happy to answer it. We have a ton of doctors that have been changing their relationship with their PPOs this year. Yes, this year specifically. Last year it kind of started, but this year for sure.
Because when we look at, as a CPA, and by the way, thank you for the very kind words about what we do at Eide Bailly. When we look at profitability in a dental practice, you look at, like I mentioned when I introduced you, is if I have a business model where my overhead is going up, I was talking to a specialist last night here in Orange County who said, before the pandemic, I was hiring people at $20 to $25 an hour. Now I can't find anybody who works for less than $35 an hour. And I'm sure you hear that all over the country. But if I have a business model where 60% of my revenues are at 60% of my UCR, my overhead is going to be much higher. So I think that's an important thing. And again, I know we need about 8 hours to do everything we need to talk about today. I know that, Tiffany, but that's one thing, doctors, if your overhead is high, and you say, well, I'm running an 85% overhead, yeah, you might be, but it could also be because you're charging 50 to 60% of what your UCR fees are on a vast majority of your patients. And if that's the case, then you do need to examine this. The average write-off on a PPO plan is 38 to 42%. And Tiffany, I'm sure that you have helped with verbal skills with clients who basically, they drop a PPO plan, and you don't just drop a PPO plan and let the patients know as they walk in. It's a whole process of over a year and stuff like that. But that you can help them maintain 80 to 90% of the patients and then have them all at full fee, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's huge. And I love what you said about the overhead, because one of my favorite things to say is that you can't outproduce your problem. So I can't shove more production in your schedule and then see that overhead come down. Obviously, production collections is going to help your overhead, but if the problem is that your fees are too low, I can add, are you just going to do more treatment, right? Are you just going to do more fillings? Are you just going to do more crowns? You're breaking your back for a $600 crown that's taking you an hour and a half. I love to see my doctors, I would say owner doctors, I really prefer to see them at $750 to $950 an hour. Okay. And if you're getting $600 reimbursements for a crown prep that's taking you an hour and a half, you're not cutting it. You're going to have to do 3 crowns in that hour and a half. And I just can't stack your schedule like that. I can't make that work. So if we're not requesting higher fee schedules every single year, if we're not billing out our procedures with our UCR fees on our claims, on our dental claims, to try to get the insurance to see what the heck is actually going on, and if you're not considering what's actually happening within your fees, then you're doing yourself a disservice for sure. So request the increased fees. And then definitely, I've been telling doctors for a long time, for years and years, look at your insurance reimbursements. What are your lowest paying insurances? First of all, how many patients are you really getting from them, right? And what is the production per that insurance for those patients that you've actually made in that year? What could it have been if you were at a higher fee? And if you were to drop that insurance and even lose 20%, 30% of those patients, what would that impact be if you could replace it with a higher fee schedule? It's typically going to be worth it. So I always say start with the bottom barrel, start with your lowest fee schedules and the easiest ones to really knock out of the park and get rid of. And it doesn't mean, I think, or what happens is they think, a lot of practices and a lot of team members, it comes down to the team members think, well, if we're not in network with that insurance company, then they can't come here. And that's not true with most insurances.
Absolutely
if you're not true. It's not true. Most insurances are PPO or indemnity. They can go anywhere. And guess what, guys? You're still going to do the billing for them. You're going to bill on their behalf and you're going to let them know. So while we may be considered out of network with your insurance, we go through all of the hoops for you to ensure that we get the most reimbursement possible for your benefits every single year. It's the same thing you're doing as a PPO provider, right? All of those processes are the same, but you're getting paid more. You're getting paid closer, if not actually what you should be paid for those procedures. And most patients most patients are not patients because of the money that they do or don't pay. Most patients are patients because they feel a connection to the practice and to the people that are there. If you're giving a 5-star patient experience and your patients love where they come for their dental treatment, they're usually not going to leave just because the price has changed. Most people, look at Lululemon, right? Look at these companies that are like absurd prices. I'll pay $100 for a pair of leggings, you know? And
I went into Lululemon.
insane.
My wife says, gee, you should really look at buying that pair of shorts. I said, they want $130 for a pair of shorts that I can get don't even go there, really. I mean,
At Costco, right?
But you're right. Lululemon, but it's capitalism at its best, right? But the with the PPOs, it's a math problem. My life is a math problem. It has been for almost 40 years, Tiffany. And it's just gotten to the point, if you think about it, the first dental insurance was created back in the 1950s or the 1960s. And a pro fee was $9, a crown was about $100, and the maximums on insurance were $1,000 to $1,500. Today, and again, I'm talking Southern California, a pro fee is $120 to $150. A crown is $1,000 to $1,500, a wide range, maybe a little higher. And what's the maximums on insurance, Tiffany? $1,000 to $1,500. And what doctors, what I think they don't understand, what I want to share is the difference that the patient's going to pay between being in network and out network. It's not the national debt. It's not that much in most cases. Isn't that right, Tiffany?
Yep, it is. Absolutely.
It's all about educating the patients.
Yes,
they don't
and it's
know.
Prioritizing. They don't know, right? And so the education, the expectations, and making their health a priority helps them to then make their health a priority, right? I go to a naturopath and pay completely out of pocket because I trust him more than I trusted the doctors that were going to bill my insurance. I don't even use my health insurance because the decision that I made there, because of the trust that I had, right? Patients are going, if they trust you, if you're giving them the services that they deserve and that you want to, that experience that you want to give them, they're going to come back. It's a relationship situation. It's not about money. Lululemon does really well because they've built a relationship with the community outside. They've put themselves on that standard and they have a certain level of care. If you bought the shorts, Art, if they ever tore in the lifetime of you having them, you ever got a rip in them, they would take them back. They would fix them or they'd give you a new pair because that's the type of place they are.
There are two chances that I buy those shorts for $130. Slim and none. Slim just left town, but that's besides the point. You know, and that. So doctors, these webinars that we put on are a call to action. This information is absolutely amazing. I'm going to make, and so the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So please take some of what Tiffany is sharing with you. I'm going to share one more thing and then I'll go back off the screen. I read a survey, and I think it might have been an ABA survey, or it was a survey that said 74% of patients leave a dental practice because they don't like the doctor, or they don't like the team, or they don't like the office. If you don't have a likable office, doctors, you got a big problem. Does that help make sense, Tiffany?
For sure. Absolutely. Okay. We see it all the time.
I'm going to jump.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Art. That was huge. So I hope you guys had a chance to fill out the scorecard, or at least kind of got it in your brains there. Here's another piece for you. This little QR code. This is your fully systematized practice. Let's see how systematized you guys are. This QR code does work. Put it up to your screens. Take this little quiz. We've got just a couple questions to run through. This helps you guys figure out, again, this is something that we use for all of our clients, but this is going to help you guys figure out where you need to spend more time developing. We've got the 12 systems that we work off of with our practice and with our masterminds that we're running. And every month we've got a different set of systems, a different department, something like that, that we're working on. So I think January is practice profitability. We've got a month for billing. We've got a month for operations manual, all of those pieces. This is how we know where to start with our clients who are fully customized, right? And then this is also how you're going to know, okay, what piece of the puzzle here do I really need to pay more attention to? Where are we missing the mark? Where do we need to get new systems for? What questions can I ask of professionals to know where I need to go? So QR code, take that quiz. It's worth it, guys. It should only take a couple minutes. If I know my team at all, they know that I love efficiency. Time to me is literally the most valuable commodity that we have. I want to make sure that my time is spent doing things that I absolutely love. And so my team knows this. So they are very, very good at making sure that anything we do like this is only a couple minutes long. And if it's longer, they always tell me they did it. So take this QR code, take the systemized quiz. Let's see what you got. If you do it and you're here and you want to, like, put it in the chat, you guys. Let's see, put it in the Q&A, whatever. Where are you the most systematized? What work do you need? Where are systems that you need to improve on? What have you got for us? Put it in the chat, put it in the, I'm huge on interaction. So webinars are so like different for me. I love seeing faces. I love like celebrating with people. I love hearing where people are from. I love all those pieces. So webinars are always, a little different for me, but I still love it. I still bring the energy. I'm still here for you. You've got your systems checklist here, you guys. This is from our 12 systems. These are the monthly themes I'm telling you about, okay? So every month we're focusing on something different. We will have their masterminds. They're interactive. They're not quite like webinar teaching style. They're more interactive with our clients. They get to meet each other. It's a community-based situation where our consultants come in and we do train and we do show systems, but we're doing it as a community and interactive. So we've got office management, mastery and leadership, doctor optimization. Doctor optimization is really fun because it's just different ways that we can take what you're doing and expand on it and really help your profitability in there. Billing with ease, you guys. Billing doesn't have to be hard. I do not like hard things in life, and I've done billing, and so for whatever reason, Kira Dent, owner and CEO, coined me as the billing guru in our company. And it's because I know how to do it, because I've done it. And I'm pretty decent at it, but I'm decent at it because, like I said, I don't like to waste time. And so I've found ways to do it very easily and to kind of have a lot of it on autopilot so that we created a whole month off of that, a 5-star patient experience. We talked about that relationship, smooth sailing, scheduling. You guys, scheduling is key. If you're trying to be profitable, but your schedule is complete chaos, or they're just like all over the place, and we're like, hey, when do you want to come in, right? And our patients are dictating our schedule. It can make you much more profitable just by getting your scheduling in line. I promise you that. Maximize case acceptance, dynamite dental assistants, because guys, you are dynamite. Our dental assistants do not get enough attention in our world. Elevated hygiene, confident marketing. You guys, marketing is huge right now. Digital marketing is huge. Complete operations manual, we've talked about that a ton, and practice profitability, and then A-team hiring and onboarding, making sure that you've got all of that. Those are the systems that we like to go through. You've taken the QR code and taken the quiz, I hope, and these are some of those systems that you're going to go through, okay? So number 6, leadership team who executes consistently. Our doctor has a vision, okay? You know where you're going, and that doesn't mean today. That means a vision for the future. What do you want your practice to look like? What is your ultimate goal with your practice? Maybe you own multiple. Why are you accumulating practices? What's your ultimate goal? Are you going to sell it? That determines how we work as a team, right? That determines what we're doing every day. Office manager who truly leads, okay? There is a huge difference between a leader and a manager, and we train them. Meetings weekly and monthly to move the needle forward. Have complete trust within leadership. Your team should trust your leadership team, and if they don't, it's something to work on. Follow through on action items 100%. Do what you say you're going to do. Then your team does what they say they're going to do. Execute on items you say you're going to do. Okay? This is just a quick example of a weekly OM and doctor meeting agenda. We really like you guys to meet weekly. Yes, weekly for like maybe 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full hour. It can be an hour if you want it to be. It can be however long you want it. I just want at least 30 minutes. Okay. This is how you stay on top of numbers, and this is how you pivot. Because if today you're not tracking to goal, tomorrow we can pivot, we can make changes. But if we're not looking at the numbers, we're not looking at the things that need to potentially be addressed, we're just kind of shooting blind. And at the end of the month, we're like, did we make it or did we not make it? You guys will, again, you'll get copies of this. This is kind of cadences and agendas that we like to see. These are the meeting cadences. Morning huddle, always. We really like those 10 minutes or less, guys. If they're longer than 10 minutes, you're probably talking about things that should be in a team meeting. Talk to us if they're longer than that. If you want to know how to cut it down, just shoot an email over, ask us. Weekly OM doctor, like I said, 30 minutes to an hour. Admin or CEO time. You guys, doctors need admin or CEO time, because if you're not taking that admin time, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to truly look through the business or work on the business. Okay, there's a difference in working on the business and working in the business. And if you're not getting admin time, you're only working in the business. Level 10 leadership meetings. If you've got a leadership team and you're not meeting once a week, again, we're not addressing things in the moment, we're addressing things after the fact, and we're like, oh dang, we missed the mark. Okay, monthly department trainings, one-on-ones with each team members, they should be 15 to 30 minutes. Honestly, if you do them frequently enough, they're 15 minutes or less. Okay, monthly team training kind of goes hand in hand with department trainings, but monthly team training would be the full team. Okay, billing review of AR. So making sure you're having a review with your billing representative to really look at that. And you guys make sure you're meeting with your CPA every month. Okay, you're getting those reports, you're talking through them, and you're figuring out where you're at. You guys should be doing those quarterly. Traction goal setting. Okay, we do traction style meetings for our practices all the time. A full review of your P&L and recurring expenses. And then anonymous team surveys are really helpful. Okay, you guys, the #1 predictor of success is a culture of ownership. Own it. What are you lacking? What do you need to do better at? What did you do? Like, I owned leaving the pumps on, right? Like, be the person that's willing to say that was me. Okay, or I could do better. As a leader in our company, where I'm constantly looking at how could I be a better lead dental consultant? How could I support my consultants more than I already do? How can I be a better asset to them? Okay, having that culture of ownership is going to be huge, because you as the leader, you having that culture, it's going to trickle down to the rest of the team. If you have the culture of dismissed, I don't want to be here, I hate dentistry, okay, guess what's going to happen to your team? You're going to run through employees. Nobody's going to like coming to work. They're all going to be disappointed all the time. And it's just going to be harder than it needs to be. What you really want is to be happy. Okay, being the tip top practice, it's just the cherry on top, you guys. If you're happy, you're doing it right. If you're not happy in what you're doing, something needs to change. And it doesn't mean you hate dentistry. Okay, I've met plenty of dentists who would prefer to do business than dentistry. That's totally fine. Entrepreneurs are all over the place. Okay, doesn't mean you hate doing dentistry. It just means that something's not right in your world and it needs to be adjusted. Usually it comes down to the systems and accountability. It comes down to making sure that you're doing things right. So now's the time, you guys. This is one of my favorite quotes, okay? We say it in our company all the time. You are one decision away from a completely different life. Literally, think about that. Think about any decision you've ever made in life. It changes, no matter what the decision is, it changes the trajectory of the path that you're on. You're one decision away from a completely different life. What are you going to implement from today on Monday? When you get in there after your full weekend of family activities, barbecues, and yard work, freezing in our 46-degree Phoenix weather, what are you going to implement Monday morning? All right, what you got for me?
Yeah, so I could not agree with you more. So it's funny. I'm going to share a story. So my youngest son, Forrest, was a high school baseball player, and he wanted to play Division I college baseball. So we took him to several, recruiting camps. So we took him to one at San Diego State University, and he basically the guy that ran the camp, he said, you had scouts there from the different schools, and you had the about 40 kids and all the parents. And the guy that ran the camp, he said, kids, don't try and figure out what these coaches want to know. They don't try and figure out how you should throw the ball, how you should swing the bat, or how you should throw a pitch. You control two things in your life: your attitude and your effort. And I use that with everybody. And folks on this podcast, first, kudos to you for taking the time out of your day to hear this incredible information. But if something is not right in your practice, if something does not feel good, then maybe if I could just say that for one of you that this 2 hours of your life was an aha moment, then you can change things, your attitude. If you come into the office every day as a downer person, your team is going to pick right up on that. And if you put out the effort, and what I like, Tiffany, about leadership is, I've read leadership books, there's all kinds of things. When I led my CPA firm for 33 years, I would get up in our meetings, our annual meetings, say, these are our goals. And I would say to my team, I'm the leader, I set the vision. I need your help. I want your input. I wouldn't make any major decisions in my CPA firm without the input of my team. Now, you also need to tell your team that, now, I am the final decision maker. I may not agree with everything, but I will listen to you. And 99 out of 100 times, Tiffany, my team had better ideas. And that's what happens, doesn't it?
For sure. Yeah. That humble leader, right?
Yeah. So guys, if something's wrong, give Tiffany and her team a call. They do a great job, and see if we can make your practice better, because it's going to give you more money to fund to retirement, to put your kids through college. I put 2 kids through private college. It's not fun. It's getting worse. We want you to have the money to be able to do all the things, and like Tiffany says, is to be happy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I absolutely agree. If you're not, like I said, if you're not happy, and I love that the attitude, right? How you present, you guys, how you present every day. I think about it. I think about it about an hour into my day, right? Because about an hour into my day is when I'm like, okay, I'm waking up, like I'm finally here, I'm present. And I think, how am I feeling right now? And if I'm feeling anything different than ready to take on the day, I truly look back at, what did I do as soon as I woke up? Did I check my phone? Did I look at the text messages? Did I respond to my doctors on the East Coast already? Did I open social media? Did I start scrolling Instagram? What did I do that influenced my mood as soon as I opened my eyes? Because that will impact my mood and how I show up for the entire day. And sometimes it's just not worth it to me, right? I want my day to be really, really stellar. And so honestly and truly, I do everything I can as soon as I wake up to just get in that zone. I love that. So change your attitude, change your mood, figure out what makes you happy. I know things like this right here make me happy. They fire me up. Talking about emotional intelligence fires me up. So if I get an opportunity to teach, to train, to talk about those things, or to coach somebody on something like that, my clients know I go insane when I'm like, yes, we can talk about you and emotional intelligence. Like, let's do it. That fires me up. So I know I have to add that into my life and into my day so that I'm my best version of me. So what makes you happy? Create it. What are you going to do Monday morning? Literally Monday morning, I want you to implement something. What is it going to be? Is it going to be NDTR? And maybe you don't use route slips yet. Maybe you're going to use route slips. Maybe it's going to be putting up the ad that fits, that finds that culture fit, changing your ads to find the culture fit and not just a new hire, right? Let's get both of those. Maybe it's onboarding documents. Maybe it's starting to work on your operations manual. Guys, that's huge. And I put this up here because it's really important. Okay. It's super important to me. I've talked about it a lot today because I have so many practices. And we have so many people that reach out to us, like I said, for systems, and you already have them. You just need to write them down. And I have so many practices that are like, I can't do an operations manual because it takes too long, right? Can't you just do it for me? Well, guess what? We did a lot of it for you. Okay, there are a lot of the pieces that are already filled out, but we can't do it all because we're not in your practice every day. So we do have options. We do have answers because that's what we're here for. You can do it on your own 100%. You might already have one. You may probably already have a lot of it done. You just don't realize it. And it's all in documents in your Word saved on your computer, right? Pull all of those together and make it a document. But if you need help, if you want to expedite your path, we figured out how to get this done in 3 months. Okay, 90 days, 13 workshops. We figured out how to do it. And you know what? I'm going to give kudos to our COVID shutdown because I'm honestly and truly, that's when we figured out, you know what, we can do this. We did weekly webinars during our COVID shutdown. We did weekly webinars and we worked with those clients and those participants only during those webinars on this form. They did some of the stuff outside of it, but employed their teams to help with it as well. And we saw how quickly it could get done. So we decided this year, what we're going to do starting in January is a 3 months operations manual intensive is what we're calling it. Editable operations manual. Okay, like I said before, all of our clients with customized coaching get that, but you can just do this. And then all of these pieces, 13 weekly workshops for accountability. And the reason that it's like so important and on my heart to talk about it now is because it's November and the end of the year is coming. And Art, I'm sure you can validate this. It's a tax write-off. So I don't want to wait until January. Exactly.
They're
I'm like, don't wait until January. See?
That's right. Exactly.
Why not
You're
do
on
it?
cash basis. If you pay for it now, you get the write-off now.
Exactly. So
That's true.
That's us, you guys. Cheers to you. Cheers, like Art said, you guys just donated 2 hours of your life, and I think that is so cool. It makes me just feel incredible, number one. So thank you for being here, for finding what I said valuable enough to stay for 2 hours. You guys are still here. So thank you. Those of you who are watching on recording, thank you for those 2 hours. It's still 2 hours, no matter where you're doing this from. I really, truly appreciate that. As a company, the Dental A Team really, truly appreciates and values the trust that not only you guys are giving us, but Art, honestly and truly, the trust that your company and that you give us to be able to speak on an event like this. We value it so much. It means so much to us. So thank you.
Yeah, Tiffany, I mean, your and my and Kira's, legacy, when we look back at the end of our careers, and if you look at the color of my hair compared to the color of your hair, my career will probably end a little sooner than yours, is helping dentists. That's what you and I have spent our entire careers doing, and making sure that they can have great lives. I mean, you guys are incredible in how you help people. And remember, you don't just fix teeth. Dentists are about a better life, a better self-esteem. A better job, a better relationship. I mean, I may have told this story on other webinars, I probably did. A dentist actually saved my life because I did not know that I had sleep apnea 15 years ago. And he pointed it out, and I got a sleep study, and I might not be here today if I didn't get on a CPAP machine. A dentist found that for me. And when I finished with practice sales, Tiffany, I always talk to the seller and I say, you've spent 35 or 40 years in this incredible career that you've had. And I want you to think about the thousands of people, not hundreds, thousands of people over 35, 40, how many ever years you've practiced, that you have changed their lives for the better. And doctors, I want to encourage you to go to work every day thinking, I'm going to help change somebody's life for the better. You give them a better smile. They have a better self-esteem. They can go get a better job. They can have the self-confidence to go about their day and be happier. I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, I must imagine, knowing now that I've and knowing you and Kira, that your place is a very happy place. I mean, I've never ever seen either of you not smile. So, that's what it's all about. And doctors, running a business is hard. Dentistry is difficult. We're in challenging economic times, but we have resources in this profession to help you. And doctors who implement this stuff, they make more money, they have happier teams. I mean, I've met some dental teams that have worked with dental coaches, and the difference is just night and day. So, doctors, if so are you done with your presentation, Tiffany?
Yeah, I'm good. My last was the operations manual intensive, and really just making sure that they understood the value there, and then questions and answers. I wanted to leave a couple minutes to make sure that we got some Q&A time in.
You want
If
to
there's
pop
any
one in
that
the Q&A? I don't see any, but doctors, also be aware that probably sometime next week, I believe you will receive a link to the recording of this webinar, and you can watch this as often as you like. And there's the Dental A Team's contact information. Stacy, are you there? Can you put my contact information in the chat also for a minute before we sign off?
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, but again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again thank you so much. Tiffany, I mean, I couldn't write fast enough, and I'll get your PowerPoint, but the systems, the key is on the systems and stuff. So folks, I want to make sure that, again, we'll get out the information for the year-end tax planning. We'll also get out the year-end information for the December 9th is our webinar on transitions. Also, hey, Tiffany, one more time, how do they get, I have a podcast that's called The Art of Dental Finance and Management with Art Wiederman CPA. It's available on all the different iPhone and Spotify and wherever else you get podcasts. What's Kira's and your podcast called?
It is called the Dental A Team podcast, and I'll pop this back up so you guys can see it.
So my contact information, folks, is in the chat if you want to get a hold of me. If you need some year-end tax planning, your accountant is not reaching out or giving you what you need, that's what we do here at iBailey. iBailey as a firm works with close to 1,000 dentists. We work with about 300 in our office in Southern California. We have several partners in our firm that specialize in working with dentists, and we've made a priority in our firm. Yeah.
We refer, honestly and truly, doctors, we refer to their CPA firm constantly because we truly value what they're able to do for our clients. We've seen incredible progress from our clients alone with working with iBailey. So if you're not already, definitely a consideration for you to make for now and the current year.
And we're already talking about our 2023 webinar series. We're going to be talking to our team here at iBailey about what we're going to do with that. But all right, Miss Tiffany, you did a magnificent, or as you called mine, a brilliant job. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for attending our webinar. If you need some help, give us a call. Again, my information's in the chat if you want to get it. And Tiffany's information you got up there too. And I think, do they get that? Are they going to get this PowerPoint also, Tiffany?
Yeah, I
so
think
you'll get all
she's
this
send it along.
information for
Yes,
you.
The recording and the PDF of the PowerPoint will be in the follow-up email.
Fantastic. Stacy, thank you so much for saving me. I had a little bit of computer 911 this morning, but we got that worked out. And folks, thank you so much for attending our webinar. And again, we'll see you on December 9th, and we'll get you a date for the webinar for year-end tax planning through our firm. Tiffany, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm sure you will. And folks, thank you so much. And with that, I will close it up for today. And everybody have a wonderful weekend, and go out and be happy and make some changes in your dental practice.
There you go. Thanks, Art.
Thanks, Tiffany. Bye-bye.